Alright there, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Another video on Old Red, our Project 1983 Peterbilt 359. Gonna get back to work on it today. I got a bunch of parts in. So anyway, let's get this thing fired up, get it in the shop, and get to work. Alright, so we've got a pretty good fuel leak on this truck coming from the throttle shaft on the injection pump. See, we got a pretty good puddle under the truck just from a few minutes of running it here. So unfortunately the audio got corrupt here for just a minute, so I'm going to have to just do a little voiceover here to tell you guys what's going on. But we're going to go ahead and start by taking the hoses and lines off of the pump and in the area. We're going to be replacing them all anyway, so just going to get them all out of the way, get them off the truck.
Hey pretty baby, are you ready for me? It's your good rockin' daddy down from Tennessee. Just out of Austin, bound for San Antonio. Got the radio blasting with the bird dog on. Speed trap up ahead in Selma Town. Ain't no local yokel gonna shut me down. Me and the boys got this rig around, and we come 1,000 miles from a guitar town.
Alright, so I laid the power steering reservoir out. I got this back top bolt out, bent a wrench so it would reach. Still having a little trouble with the back one back in here. This do have a catch pan under here, so hopefully this will catch all this stuff. Alright, so with the power steering hose out of the way, pretty easy to get that other back bolt out. So just got one more bolt to take out and this pump will be ready to come out. I hope. I don't think there should be anything left holding this in here. There you go. Alright, so while we're in here and we got a lot of stuff out of the way, I thought I'd go ahead and give this engine here a little bit of a rattle can rebuild. At least on this side for now anyway. I still got to clean that gasket surface, so I'm not terribly worried about it. I just want to keep from getting any paint inside of there. Alright, so we've got our injection pump back in place here now. We started replumbing everything. We're replacing all the lines and hoses and stuff while we're doing this. And we're rerouting a lot of stuff. The routing on this was pretty sloppy before. Pretty much everything that come in this area here all just kind of draped over this fuel filter housing, and it was pretty messy. So I'm rerouting a lot of it. Like this is the line that goes to the air dryer down here. And before that one just ran across here. I've run it down and runs through the frame rail now and then goes there. The one I'm replacing here next is the one that goes to the wet tank. And that's this line here. Wait, no it's not. This is one I already replaced. Where did that line go? This one right here. Okay. So here's the line. Goes from the governor to the wet tank. I already took one of these fittings off to show you guys. Now these fittings are reusable, so I'm reusing them. And I'll show you basically how they work. You do have to make sure that you get the right hose that matches the fittings that you got if you are going to reuse your fittings, because there are different ODs and IDs that will take different fittings. So I went through and I measured all my hoses and figured out what the ODs and IDs were and which hoses would work for the fittings that I've got. These fittings are about 10 bucks a piece, so as you can imagine that could add up rather quickly. But basically what you got here, you've got this piece here, threads down over the hose in a left-hand thread. So that threads down the left-hand thread, this threads in a right-hand thread, and it basically creates a crimp because this piece is tapered, so when you thread that in, it squeezes the outside against the inside against the outside, makes a sealed fitting. So basically what we got to do here now is we're going to cut a new piece of hose. It's a little bit longer than the one that we're replacing. We're going to go ahead and set up one side on it, connect that to the air tank, run it through, and then get our routing how we're happy with it. And then we're cut the hose to length, put the other end on and attach it. So anyway, let's get to it. Alright, so here's our new piece of hose, cut to length here. I cut it on a metal chop saw. You can cut it with an angle grinder or whatever. There is a steel braid in this line, so you're not going to cut it with just a pair of 10 snips or whatever. You need to use something like an abrasive chop saw or angle grinder or something like that. But basically we're just going to take this left-hand thread, give it a little shot of PB or any kind of lubricant really. We're going to tighten this down. Now that's one end of the hose done. Now we just need to get this routed how we want it. Alright, so now that our hose is routed and we know how long it needs to be, go ahead and cut it off. And then we just connect our hose. And then once we get these hoses all tied up and secured in place, we'll have some nice neat hose routing with new hoses, and that'll be good to go. Alright, so pretty much got everything back together now. All I need to do, fill up the power steering, and then I think we're pretty much ready to start this thing. A few things to note. Your fuel line from your filter to your pump, you definitely want to make sure you flush that out before you put it on, just because if you were to have any little bits of rubber or something in there from cutting the line, you wouldn't want to send that into your pump. I figure a few guys will probably ask about this, but this pump does not need to be timed. Basically, on these Cummins engines, the injectors are fired by the camshaft, and the fuel flow is determined by the inlet pressure, which is basically regulated by your injection pump. So because the camshaft's firing the injectors and not the pump does not need to be timed. So you just slap it on there. This return line here is not as factory. This would have been a hard line. I believe it actually ran to right here, but I'm assuming that line probably got broken at some time, and they just replaced it with this, which runs back to the tanks, which is probably fine. I may end up just grabbing a piece of steel tubing here and flaring it and making a hard line to replace that, or I might leave it like this, don't really know. Truck was running fine before, other than the fuel leak around the throttle shaft, so I'm not terribly worried about it. But got everything hooked up and tidied up here. I got a little bit more securing to do down in the frame rail and back that way, just get everything secured and nice. And I need to wrap these hoses where we have a potential rub point here, wrap them in a bit of radiator hose. So I still got a couple little things to do here yet, but I think we're pretty much ready to fire this thing up now. I did want to put a new filter on before I started it, but it's already late in the day on Sunday, and yeah, I'll just have to get a filter for it tomorrow. I did prime the fuel system up. Might not start right away, might run a little rough when we get it started up, just due to air in the system. You know, I'll need to run a little bit to purge all that out. But anyway, let's go ahead and set the camera up here somewhere, and we'll fire the truck up and make sure it runs. Find out how many of my hoses leak all over the place. Well, hopefully be zero. Probably open the door first. There is also a filter inside of here that I did change out. Just fill this up with regular old motor oil, 1540. Expect I'll have to top this off again after I start it, but that should be good. Alright, let's see if it runs. Alright, so we're back from a little test drive. Everything seems to be running pretty good. We got this whole area of the motor basically squared away. Still got all the rest of it to do. Still got to pull the valve covers off, set the overhead on it. Got to do basically the same thing with all the lines in the entire engine bay. I've already done a bunch of the stuff underneath. But we just need to get that all squared away. I need to run the overhead on it. Gonna end up dropping the oil pan and check the rod and main bearings. Probably put some new rods and mains in it, just, you know, as a preventative measure. And I think we're gonna be pretty good on this motor, but when we drop the oil pan, we'll be able to take a look at the liners and make sure there's not a bunch of scoring or anything like that, but I don't really expect there to be. The engine seems to run pretty good. It doesn't really have any blow-by. It starts pretty good. So I'm not really expecting to have to do an end frame on this or anything like that, but I'm pretty happy we got the fuel leak fixed. That was kind of one of the big things that was keeping me from being able to say that the truck's at least mechanically roadworthy. So that's fixed. Don't have any leaks. All the power steering lines are redone, and really pretty happy. Now the guy that did this pump, I found him through eBay. He's got an eBay store. I believe the name was timingtoolking, but click and expand the description down below and I'll put a link to his eBay store there. If he doesn't have what you're looking for as far as Cummins pumps listed, go ahead and shoot him a message and he can probably put together what you need. That's exactly what I did. I sent him a message. I thought the price was really reasonable and he put together exactly what I needed for this truck, and he got it sent out to me real quick. He doesn't charge a core return up front. He sends you a prepaid shipping label with it, so all I got to do is just kind of clean up the old pump, shove it in the box, slap the sticker on it, drop it off and send it back to him. So that's a pretty good deal there. But anyway guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe down below. Thank you. Have a great day.